Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, we're back with another victory for Middlesbrough. This time a 1-0 win over Birmingham City to take Middlesbrough to 6 victories in a row in all competition, which is absolutely ridiculous. Considering where we were at the start of the season, I don't think anyone really saw this coming, but the way Middlesbrough are playing at the moment, there's just no stopping them right now, and it's going to be very interesting to see how long we can kind of keep this run of form going and how far we can go as we look to close the gap on the top 6 and beyond. So, if you are enjoying my videos, please do like and subscribe to the channel. It's very much appreciated, all of your support. But yeah, the clash with the Blues at the Riverside. I was there yesterday. It was a really quite tasty game. It was so open from start to finish. I was sat in my usual season ticket seat, which is kind of right near the Birmingham City fans, and they were well up for it. It got heated, let's say, at various different points. They were kind of making their presence known in the away section, but ultimately it was Middlesbrough who ended up with the last laugh. So obviously it was Wayne Rooney's first game in charge of Birmingham City. They'd been brilliant so far this season under John Eustace. They went into the game in 6th position, so it was really all to lose for the Blues as they came into the game. Rooney does have a tough job on his hands there to kind of meet and exceed the expectations that Eustace has set in the early part of this campaign, and no one really knew what to expect from Rooney's team at the Riverside Stadium. But being honest, they were poor. They were poor from start to finish. They were so sloppy on the ball. Middlesbrough got off to a bright start. We were creating chances. We were passing the ball around well. We had so many opportunities in that first half. Josh Coburn was responsible for missing a few of them. Not his fault whatsoever. We will get onto him in just a little bit. It wasn't his best day at the office, but I'm a big fan of Josh Coburn. I think he's got a lot to offer Middlesbrough this season, and although it was a difficult day at the office for him, I think it was his performance was kind of symbolic of what was going on for Middlesbrough over the course of the 90 minutes, because it didn't quite click for a lot of the match. We weren't at our fluent best. We were a little bit sloppy on the ball as well at different times, but that didn't change the fact that we were still very dominant over Birmingham, which may just be a reflection on how bad they were on the day. Plenty of opportunities in the first half. Hayden Hackney is just getting better and better every week. The influence that he's got over that team is just brilliant. He's just really pulling the strings in midfield, and I think a month or so ago I was really impressed with how he was doing this season, but just the confidence that he seems to have. Obviously, he's playing with England under 21s at the moment. He's a regular starter for them right now, and he's playing alongside some top quality players, even people like Cole Palmer, who's shining at Chelsea at the moment. And just that confidence of knowing that he's amongst that kind of like talented elite group of players is really showing in his game at the moment, and he's kind of showing exactly why Michael Carrick loves him so much and why Middlesbrough fans love him so much. He was brilliant. Middlesbrough had lots of opportunities. So over the course of the game, Middlesbrough had 17 shots on goal. 10 of them were on target, and we had a 60% possession as well, which is pretty much about right, because Middlesbrough did dominate the ball for long spells. We did create opportunities, which historically that may have been a problem. Often it can be the case where we dominate the ball without too much end product, but we were carving out those opportunities. We were getting at them down the left and the right flank. Lukas Engel was brilliant, I thought, once again against Birmingham. Izzy Jones was great on the right, and he was causing all sorts of problems as well. But even through the centre, we were causing lots of issues as well. I've mentioned Hackney. Matt Crooks was brilliant as well. He's quite slow, let's be honest. There's sometimes when you just kind of think, if he just had like an extra yard of pace, he'd be absolutely unstoppable. But what he was doing yesterday, the way that he was dropping into the pockets of space, he was linking up with Coburn, he was closing down the ball, he was working so hard in that role. And he's got a real instinct for knowing where the ball's going to drop, and that occurs in goal scoring opportunities. But he's also really good at picking up the ball in those spaces, picking it up in midfield, moving forward with it, and then spraying it out to the flanks, in towards the striker. And he's just really proving to be quite a key player for Middlesbrough this season. That was his third assist. The one that he got against Birmingham, which we'll come up to just in just a second. But yeah, he's showing exactly why he's part of the starting 11 at the moment. There is an argument to say that when everyone's fit, he may not be good enough for the starting 11. Obviously, Riley McGree was a notable absentee against the Blues with that foot injury, meaning that Greenwood played out on the left flank, which meant that Crooks played through the middle. But Crooks, to me, is looking absolutely undroppable at the moment. It doesn't matter when Riley McGree comes back. I think Michael Carrick's going to have some really difficult decisions to make for who gets into that team, because so many players are playing so well. He was absolutely key to it. Josh Coburn, as I mentioned, did miss a few opportunities in the first half, and he was working hard. He was leading the line well. And for me, the fact that he was getting into those positions and he was getting through on goal shows that he was doing the right things. But it just wasn't his day in front of goal. Whether he was overthinking it, whether it was the pressure that the defence were putting on him, because they were right on him. They were quite rough and tumble at the back. But yeah, Coburn was getting into those positions. He couldn't quite make the most of it this time in terms of finding the back of the net. So that did lead to criticism. I saw some of it online. I was listening to the BBC Tees phone in as well, and there's some criticism on there. I think someone had said that he wasn't good enough to play in the Championship, which is just absolute rubbish, because he's a brilliant player. And for me, I think in his first full season in the Championship, if he can be getting somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 goals this season, that'd be a great return for such a young player. And someone who, let's be honest, he's part of an attacking-looking lineup. It's not solely the striker's responsibility to provide the goals this season. I know that Middlesbrough were somewhat spoilt last season with Chuba Akpom putting in such a flurry of goals over the course of the campaign. But in a sort of healthy team, you want them spread around a little bit. And I think what he does for the overall team is just absolutely brilliant. And I mentioned it before about how Matt Crooks is getting on the score sheet. We've seen Izzy Jones getting on the score sheet. Sam Greenwood getting on the score sheet. Morgan Rodgers was the man to do it this time. He came on as a second half substitute. Middlesbrough were just kind of needing that spark, I guess, against Birmingham. It was looking like a kind of game that was heading towards a 0-0 draw. Despite Middlesbrough dominating, despite having the better of the play, it looked like it was going to be one of those games where it was 2 points dropped because we couldn't get the job done. But yeah, Morgan Rodgers came on, and Emmanuel Latte-Lath came on. And I think their pace and power and just the way that they were kind of closing down the Birmingham City defence really made a difference, and kind of opened it up again in the last 10 minutes or so, which was great to see. The goal for Rodgers was a great finish from him. Really good for him to get his what I think is his first goal for Middlesbrough. Obviously, he hasn't been able to break into the starting lineup just yet. But what he showed against Birmingham was brilliant. It shows exactly what he can offer. He's so versatile as well. That might be something that kind of counts against him over time, because he's not able to nail down one sort of position, but he's certainly showing that he's capable of making a big difference in the first team. He obviously picked up the ball. He was running towards the Birmingham City penalty area. He played the ball out to Crooks, and it looked like he'd overpassed it. Crooks went out way too wide with it as a result of the pass, which was just hit a little bit too hard, and it looked like the move had kind of broken down. But Rodgers carried on his run in towards the near post, and Crooks found him, and it was a brilliant finish for him to prod past John Ruddy in the Birmingham goal, and the fans were absolutely delirious to score just a couple of minutes from the end of the game. The Birmingham City fans, who I mentioned before, were absolutely livid, which got a little bit tasty, and there was a couple of fights breaking out and that sort of thing. But for Middlesbrough fans, it was just a brilliant day, and it was that goal was just a reward really for just how well we'd played over the course of the 90 minutes. It was certainly a deserved 3 points against a very poor Birmingham City team, in my personal opinion. We did deserve the win, and for us to be able to get it late on was great to see. In terms of a couple of the standout performers on the day, I mentioned him before, Lukas Engel. Obviously, he had a difficult start to life at Middlesbrough. That game against Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll stop talking about soon. It was awful, but it's just kind of used now as a kind of measuring stick for just how far he's come, because he's just looking like someone who has been playing in Middlesbrough's team and in the Championship for many years. He kind of reminded me a little bit of George Friend actually against Birmingham, the way that he was playing. He's defensively solid. The way that he moves forward with the ball, he doesn't look like he's going to be a huge attacking presence. I think Ryan Giles looked I guess like a winger, if you sort of understand what I mean. He was moving forward, and Giles would clearly, his first instinct would be to kind of like move forward, and Engel is just kind of like showing that he does have that quality. It feels like the shackles have kind of been released with him a little bit. He's kind of using his pace and his long stride to break free down the left. He was fizzing some brilliant balls into the box yesterday. Mentioned about that Josh Coburn failed to convert some of them, but it wasn't only him, it was the other players as well. And I think if Middlesbrough's players can just kind of, I guess, kind of like get in tune with those crosses that are coming in from the left, I could certainly see him bagging a hatful of assists over the course of the campaign. Sorry, because he was just so effective down the left flank, and I do think his delivery is brilliant as well. So that's certainly an outlet that we should be looking to capitalise on as the weeks unfold. And for me, he looks like a certain starter now. He looks like the first choice left back. Hayden Coulson, it looks like his time in the first team is going to be done and dusted. Obviously, we had Lewis O'Brien playing at left back before he got his injury. I think it just allowed Engel a couple of weeks to get himself back up to speed, rebuild his confidence after Sheffield Wednesday, and now he's looking like the real deal. Alex Bangura was on the bench again, and I think it'll be interesting to see what he brings and what Michael Carrick's plans are with the two, in terms of if they're going to rotate a little bit, or whether Engel's going to be first choice, or whether he sees Bangura as first choice. But I think the way that Engel's playing at the moment, he's looking brilliant. He's slotted into that team really well in the last couple of weeks, and for me, he looks like a really good signing from that point of view. Matt Crooks, we mentioned him before as well, just how well he's playing at the moment, and the fact that for me he's kind of undroppable at the moment just because he's having that much influence. He was brilliant against Watford before the international break. He did well against Sunderland. He's done it again against Birmingham City, and 3 goals and 3 assists so far this season is a great return for a player like him. Someone who maybe was tipped as someone who was going to fall down the pecking order at the start of the season. I think when everyone's fit, as I mentioned before, he might be someone who finds game time a little bit harder to come by, but he's giving Michael Carrick every reason to keep him in the team, because it's not just his end product, but it's the way that he's working tirelessly for the team. He's linking up with that midfield so well. He knows exactly how Michael Carrick wants to play the game, and he's just got this knack of being in the right place at the right time, and I think that's down to his intelligence, really. As I mentioned before, he's not the fastest, he's not the most technically gifted, but he's just got that instinct, and that's something which can't really be taught. It's just the sort of player who he knows where he needs to be. He knows how to open up a defence with a pass. He knows himself how to drift into areas where he can affect the game, and I think that's why he's being just so effective. And I mean, the fact that he does have that relationship with Josh Coburn off the pitch. I know they work together in training a lot of the time, and they do have that kind of I don't want to say telepathic relationship, but that kind of they know each other's games very, very well, and I think we are starting to see that really with just how well they're linking up. And Josh Coburn himself, as I mentioned, it wasn't his best day at the office, but I think any small-minded Middlesbrough fans who were saying that he's not good enough for the Championship or not good enough for Middlesbrough, it's just so quick to the button, I guess. He's a player who is learning, he's adapting to the Championship. He may have missed a few opportunities yesterday, but I think on another day he could have had 3-4 goals against Birmingham City. He was that good in terms of getting into those positions, and I think strikers do have those days. They do have those days where things just don't come off, but I think ultimately it's his overall contribution to the team. He was leading the line well. He links up with the midfield and with Izzy Jones on the right, and with Sam Greenwood on the left in this case. He's just a player who is learning the game. He's learning how to be a constant nuisance to defenders, and I think for him it's going to very much be about the intelligence of what he can bring to the team. He's not the fastest player. He's strong, so he's going to have to learn how to use his strength to his advantage and make sure that he's in the right position at the right time, and that he can free himself up to have the space to get a shot away. And I think he'll learn very quickly that when he does get that opportunity and he is through on goal, he does need to take those opportunities, because that will be what is the difference in him being an average Championship striker to being a top Championship striker. So I think from my point of view, he's someone who, he deserves to keep his place in the team. I think Emmanuel Latiolaf is breathing down his neck quite quite sharply. It'll be interesting to see whether Michael Carrick looks to make any changes against Norwich or against Stoke City next weekend. He does have that many options, and as I've been saying in previous videos, I think the fact that the new signings are now getting up to speed, we are looking at, we've got 15, 16 players who all look capable of like playing in that first starting 11. And not really diminishing the quality within the side, which is a great place to be in. I think when Middlesbrough are winning 6 games in a row in all competitions, it just does wonders for confidence. But the fact that we do have that depth this season, it was maybe something that we were lacking a little bit last season, and maybe that's what proved costly over the course of the campaign. But yeah, I think the fact that we've got that depth and we've got these new signings, and they've had a couple of months to get themselves up to speed. A few of them were kind of afforded the opportunity to sort of step away from the limelight when Middlesbrough weren't performing particularly well and when results weren't good. A couple of them were able to be, I guess, dropped to the bench or left out of the matchday squad, which kind of like just, I guess, kept them away from the negative glare of what was going on at that time. But I think now that Middlesbrough are performing well, you're starting to see the confidence coming back into those players, and I think all of them, to be honest. I think particularly when you're looking at Morgan Rodgers, when you're looking at Lukas Engel, when you're looking at Emmanuel Lath, they're all players who are showing what they're capable of, and they're all players who can make a real difference at the first team level. There's other players who still need to show a little bit more, in my opinion, over the coming weeks. People like Sammy Silvera and Alex Gilbert and people like that. But yeah, I think the summer recruitment is kind of starting to look like it was a really good summer, to be honest. I know it's very early days. We're only in October, and it's like, yeah, this run of wins could end this week, really. And you never really know what's going to happen over the course of the campaign. But I think we are starting to see exactly why these players were brought in. And the fact that they are performing so well along with the existing players is very exciting for the season to come. So yeah, Middlesbrough are closing in on the top 6. Give it another few weeks, and I think we'll be right in there amongst that mix. It's just where you want to be. The fixtures are going to come thick and fast as we move into November and December and January. And for me, I think you want to be in that top 6 at the turn of the year, because that's when the season really gets started, and that's when things get really quite exciting in the second half of the year. And you want to be in there. You do not want to be one of the teams who is having to make up 5 points or 10 points to get yourself into that mix. You want to be in and amongst it. You want to be showing what you can do, even pushing towards the automatic promotion spots. But I think, I think given just how well Leicester and Ipswich are doing, I think it's going to be a hard task for anyone to catch the top 2. So I think in terms of the playoffs, it's all to play for, and I know Middlesbrough do still have some ground to make up, but confidence is so high at the Riverside Stadium at the moment, and I think for Michael Carrick and for his players, it's a great time to be playing for Middlesbrough. And with Norwich coming up next, I think they're a team that Middlesbrough will be looking to get another 3 points against. I think they're very much beatable. They were winning against Leeds United and they ended up losing 3-2, so there's a sort of fragility to them, which could be good for Middlesbrough to expose. But we'll get onto them in another video. But yeah, a massive 3 points for Middlesbrough against Birmingham City. Great to sink Wayne Rooney and make sure his first game for Birmingham City ended in defeat. Great to silence those Birmingham fans who were gobby at best over the course of the 90 minutes. And on to Carrow Road next for what will hopefully be 7 wins in a row. We'll see. But yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. Any feedback that you do have is very much appreciated, and any ideas for players that you'd like me to speak to or any topics that you'd like me to cover, more than happy to do that as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.